There is a huge council estate right behind where we're opening. So I don't want to be the guy or the business that opens up and it's kind of like, well, here we are doing our thing, and you actually can have no real relationship with us because you can't afford this. Street Feast is a series of night markets all around London. When we take over, just use spaces, kind of meanwhile spaces, and we fill them with amazing street food traders, great bartenders, making an array of great cocktails and craft beer and fantastic wine. I grew up in Portobello Road, literally just off the market through the mid-70s and early 80s. I left Notting Hill in the early 90s, just after they brought out the movie. It changed it, the whole area changed a lot. So when people talk about gentrification and regeneration and so on, I kind of learned that very early on. So what was a very vibrant area changed. And that sense of community that I knew living throughout the 70s and 80s with Moroccan and Spanish and Portuguese and Caribbean and West African, as well as English people all mixing and Irish mixing, that changed and it wasn't as strong. Areas are going to evolve anyway, naturally, that's exactly what happens. And it's just important that as they evolve and as they grow, we don't leave behind what's already there. People have been attracted to an area, there's no point killing that which attracted you to it as you move on again, and that's just a mistake that we often make. I made a vow to myself is that whenever I started again with my next business, that relationship we had with our local community would be a meaningful one. So we're going to have some kind of deli, stroke farmers market, stroke independent local Whole Foods. So that place will sell organic fruit and veg. Well, as anybody knows, organic fruit and veg is bloody expensive. So there is a huge council estate right behind where we're opening. So I don't want to be the guy or the business that opens up and it's kind of like, well, here we are doing our thing, and you actually can have no real relationship with us because you can't afford this. So I've said to one of our main sponsors, and us the business, can anybody who lives in that estate, and can they be some kind of local member, and they just pay costs? So basically what we pay for it, they pay for it. So we don't make any money on any veg or anything they pay for in this shop. How people who are on the bread line, on the poverty line, are eating, how they're feeding their children, the education around that is a massive issue, and I can't be complicit in making that any worse. So coming into the food industry, maybe I perceive myself as an outsider, right? Regardless of how other people may or may not see me. But I certainly didn't see many people who looked like me. I use that as a power and as a strength. Doesn't matter how you might perceive me, and I carry the strength of that. So I make sure that if there's anybody else, and I know living where I do in Dalston, I get stopped in the street sometimes by other young black boys who are like, you're that guy from that street food thing and so on. I'm like, yeah, if me doing what I'm doing gives them power, then that means a hell of a lot to me. I'll tell you a little story. When I was starting Street Feast, I ran out of money, and I hadn't been in that position for quite a while, and it was quite tough, and we really had to kind of really watch what we were spending and so on. My little boy would have been about 2 or 3 at the time, and he'd say to me, Daddy, what are we doing today when you come over on a Saturday? I'm like, today we're going to a market, Remy. He's like, not another market, Daddy. I'm like, but one day, Remy, we're going to have the best market in London. And when we did have the best market in London, that for me, that beats anything else. It beats getting any kind of award. Him seeing the hard work and the dedication, and me talking him through that whole phase, saying, yeah, we may not have had as much as we had before, but our relationship is what matters, and me telling him clearly what I'm trying to build, and then being able to build that, that's what life's about.